Hey there, welcome to Black Gumbo Southern Gardening. Today I'm going to show you how to grow citrus trees in containers like this. Alright, got a video for you about how to grow citrus in containers. I've got my notes here on my phone. Normally I just kind of wing it, but today I think it's important that I have everything in order. So why do you grow citrus in containers? I live in zone 9B on the Texas coast, and we could grow citrus right in the ground, and it usually does well. But I want to grow them in containers for several reasons. Number one, I can keep them small, about this size, maybe a little bigger. Small trees gives me the opportunity to have more trees, more varieties. You can control your tree better. You have complete control over this tree, its health, and it is totally dependent upon you, the tree. You've got to feed it, you've got to water it, but you have control. So they're easy also to save from the weather. Let me show you the problem I'm having with growing citrus in the ground. This was my Meyer lemon tree, Lucy the lemon, and Lucy has been growing here for many years. But in the past 3 years, we've had two major freezes, and well, you can't take this tree out of the ground and put it in the garage to protect it from the freeze. So it's frozen back twice. Yeah, we're gonna have to start working this tree down. There's still good news though. This is an established tree. It's eaten out of the sewer actually, and it's really healthy. So it's growing back from above the graft union down there. We can take all this down and Lucy will come right back. But it's so frustrating. We lost all this fruit, and yeah, that's why we grow in containers. In a container, you can take your plant inside if there's going to be a freeze. When up potting or transferring your nursery tree into your pot, what size do you get? Well, typically you don't want to just go gigantic all out right at first. You want to step up year after year, or after a couple of years you want to step up to the next size. That's just good culture practice when you're growing these trees. My tree, this is a key lime, came in a pot that big. That's about a 3-gallon pot, I suppose. Well, we're going to put it in a pot that's about twice that size. I'm going to use this barrel pot. I'm wanting something that's deep and wide, and this is going to do. So something like this tree will live in for the next 2 years, and then I'll pot up to something like one of these half wine barrels when this tree gets a little bit older. But we need to get it in here, a pot that's about twice the size of the pot it came in. That's usually what you want to go for. Make sure, especially with citrus, make sure that your pot has lots and lots of drainage holes. I've drilled holes all around the perimeter of this, and these holes will ensure that our soil drains really well. That brings us to the soil type. Citrus trees need a different kind of soil than your average potting soil. Now, you can grow in regular potting soil. These two trees have been thriving in Kellogg's brand potting mix, just potting mix. And they're doing okay, but I can do better than that. Citrus needs a soil that drains really well, doesn't hold on to a whole lot of moisture, doesn't get compacted, and that's why you need something with a lot of non-organic material in it, like perlite, vermiculite, and maybe even some sand. If you Google citrus mixes, citrus soil, you're going to find everyone's got an opinion, and there are recipes out there. You can make your own soil. One popular recipe that's pretty simple is 1/3 peat moss, 1/3 perlite, and 1/3 vermiculite. So 2/3 of that mixture are not going to break down. The perlite and the vermiculite will not break down. What happens in a highly organic soil is that the organics are going to over time break down, and that soil is going to compact, and that will damage the roots of your citrus plants. So you want to find something that's got a high volume of coarse non-organic material like perlite or vermiculite. Some people use a little bit of sand in there too. This will mean that the soil will drain well and won't break down so fast. And as you up pot each year, you can just add some more of the organic material as a top dressing, or when you replant, you can put some fertilizer in there. So, or if you don't want to make your own, you can get yourself a pre-mixed citrus soil. They come as cactus and succulent and citrus soils, and these are pre-made. Kellogg's makes one, and I like Kellogg's brand, but I couldn't find any, so I had to settle for Miracle-Gro. And the Miracle-Gro brand is just it's fine. It does have the Miracle-Gro fertilizer in there. I don't really care for that, but that stuff will work its way out in 6 months to a year, and yeah, it's not going to hurt. So I bought myself a bag of this citrus and palm and cactus soil from Miracle-Gro, and we're going to use that to up-pot our tree. Okay, so we have our pot. A lot of people will put gravel down at the bottom to keep the plant, to keep the soil able to drain and keep those holes down in there from plugging up. I'm not going to do that. I've never done that. I've never found an issue. If you have well-draining soil, it's fine. You can come back and you can take a drill and re-drill your holes if you have to, if you discover they've plugged up a bit. But you'll know if they get plugged up when you do a deep water, nothing will come out. It's just as easy to come in with a drill and poke those holes out. So let's look at our root ball here and see what we're dealing with. Yeah, look at that. So what we'll want to do with a situation like this is kind of break up these roots down here at the bottom. See how some of them are kind of circling around? Just loosely kind of break up the bottom part. I found a new nursery that I'd never been to in my area that has tons of citrus trees and all kinds of varieties that you can buy. It's called Joseph's Nursery. It's in Pearland, Texas, and they've got acres of trees. Well, those aren't coming apart as well as I wanted. What we want from our ultimate planting is for the original surface plane right here to be about 1 inch below our container. So we're not going any deeper, but these roots will have about this much more space to grow in for the next couple of years. So plant it right there, orient it the way you want, make sure it's not leaning. It's a windy day, and we're going to put our soil in. This particular soil, I don't know if you can tell, but it's very light, and it's got a lot of coarse material to it. It's got some sand in it, and it won't compact. So we're just going to fill in around this tree. Well, I'm just tearing everything up, aren't I? I'm just going to fill in around this tree. And what I'm going to do when I get about halfway full is I'm going to add some fertilizer. Just a little bit of fertilizer, because remember, this is Miracle-Gro. There's already fertilizer in it. Let's say you're using your own mix. You've made up your potting soil, and you've used one of the recipes that doesn't include much organic material. You want to amend your soil with a slow-release fertilizer. I recommend this. This is IV Organics, all-purpose, and it is a very good slow-release fertilizer. If you want 10% off of your IV Organics order, any IV Organics products, go over to their website, fill up your shopping cart, and when you check out, use the code GUMBO10. GUMBO10. You will be getting 10% off, and you'll be supporting my channel. So I like this stuff. I don't like it just because they give me a little commission on sales. No, I like this stuff because it's really, really good. Charles over there at IV Organics is a biologist, and he's developed some excellent products, and this is one of them. It is 333, which means it's a low-dose, slow-release fertilizer. These are the main macronutrients: nitrogen, potassium, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, but it also has the other macronutrients that your plants need. It has magnesium, sulfur, and calcium, and those are also macronutrients. And it's got a whole lot of other stuff in it as well. Really good stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'll show you how to do it, at risk of maybe over-fertilizing this tree because it's already got some fertilizer in there. But I'm just going to take a little handful and sprinkle it in that soil we just put in, just a little bit, because there's already some in there. Otherwise, I would recommend that you read the instructions for potted plants. That's a good stuff right there. Slow release. Now what we're also going to do, the way a slow release fertilizer works, hey Phoebe, can you move? You're bumping my tripod. Good dog. Good dog. The way slow release fertilizer works is this, not the stuff you put in there that the roots get in contact with, and somehow there's an exchange going on. What happens is bacteria and soil biology, it eats that and releases the elements that your plant needs. So what I'm going to do with the soil, since it's fairly sterile, is I'm going to inoculate this soil with biology. I'm going to come over here to my raised bed and just get a couple of handfuls of my native soil. This is stuff that has good life, good biology in it. I'm going to dig down and get some of the more moist stuff down beneath. Maybe an earthworm or two if we find one. There's one right there. Got us an earthworm. We're set. Let's go put this in our pot. Here we go. There are tons of bacteria in here that is not present in this sterile soil. So we'll put that in there too. That bacteria will colonize this soil, spread like wildfire, and make that fertilizer available to the plant and get this pot off to a good start. I would prefer a little more perlite in here, but I don't have any on hand, and I didn't buy any. Perlite is that little white rock you see in here, these little white bits. It's in most potting soils. Perlite is an expanded volcanic rock. It's almost like volcanic rock popcorn. And it's very good stuff for helping keep the soil from compaction. It aerates the soil. It's good stuff. I'm going to just kind of pack that down and continue to top it off. The soil is the critical part of starting a tree off right, because that's where the tree gets its fertility from. So what's going to happen next is this tree depends on you to feed this soil. You're not so much feeding the tree as you're feeding the soil and the life in the soil, because like I said, it's that biology in the soil that makes the nutrients available to your plants. You coming to inspect the work, Phoebe? All right, that's enough soil. Let's mulch. All right, let's water this in. I want to water the entire soil area. You want it to soak all the way in, all the way down to the bottom. We'll want to do this now and give it a good soak. Come back later, give it a second good watering. And we want to water here until hopefully we see it coming out the bottom there. This initial watering will help settle our soil around those roots, rehydrate some of those dry roots that were along the outside of the root ball up against the plastic of that nursery pot. So we'll just keep watering and keep watering. I'm going to put this whole 2.5 gallon can on here, and we'll come back and do it again later. Now, watering this plant is key. Generally, citrus likes to get watered really well, just like I'm doing here. Give it a good, solid soaking. And then pay attention to your soil. Don't water it again until the soil feels almost bone dry, but not quite. Almost bone dry. So stick your finger down in there and see what the soil feels like. And when it's almost bone dry, then give it another watering. Of course, if you're outside, you get a lot of rain, then you don't have to worry about it. All right, we've got water coming out the bottom, and that was the entire 2.5 gallons. So we're watered in at round 1 at least. But now we know that our soil is draining well and our holes aren't plugged up. All right, that's good. We have another a step to do, an optional step, but I think it's a wise step. These plants, when they were grown at the nursery, were amongst hundreds, maybe thousands of little saplings together growing up, and their leaves and canopy covered their delicate bark and shaded them, kept them from getting sunburnt. I'm growing this, well, close to other trees, but there's going to be a lot of direct sunlight on this this bark here that is not used to it. So you'll see that a lot of folks will paint the fruit trees with a latex paint, or they'll wrap them with tree wrap to keep from sunburning. We're going to do that, but I'm not using paint. I'm going to plug IV Organics again IV Organics makes this 3-in-1 plant guard that I absolutely love. I love it because it's organic, it's based on diatomaceous earth and essential oils. It's not like latex paint where you put a layer of plastic on your tree and that plastic degrades and flakes off over time. This is air permeable. It's not gonna, suffocate your tree. It has the essential oils that repel insects that might bore into the bark. It smells good, goes on easy, and like I said, it's totally organic. So what we're going to do is use this, and this is the brown color. They come in many colors. I've used the white for about 3 years, and I used this brown on my apricot tree. There's a video about that, how to plant an apricot tree, and we used this stuff, and it went on really nice. It smells good, and it will protect this little tree, because this tree, I want this tree to live. This is a key lime tree, and I need those key limes. So we're going to cut these straps off and take the support down and paint the tree. Then we're going to put that support back on until this tree gets a little more established. It's kind of top heavy, it catches the wind. I don't want it to snap. See how these are real tight on that tree? We don't want that. We want it to be attached with a rather loose attachment so it can grow. All right, we got that right out of there. Come on, you. There we go. Lay that aside. Let's get this trunk covered. Once you mix this up, you want to try to use it within a short amount of time. It'll separate out the oils and all. I've actually used this stuff when it was years old. Still seemed to work, but it's recommended that you try to use it up pretty quick. I've got a lot of trees. I can make this disappear real fast. IV Organics, they make some good stuff. And Charles over there at the IV Organics YouTube channel has tons of great videos. He grows a lot of citrus in containers. In fact, he grows a lot of lemons. And I like his approach to things. Hello, Phoebe. You coming to check out the IV Organic stuff, huh? Oh, I love the way it smells. All right, you just paint it on. And it will dry and leave a protective coating on here, a coating that is not plastic, is not, latex. You can get some of these tender branches too, but mainly interested in the exposed part here. The leaves will cover up the rest of it way up high. Real simple process. You can mix this stuff up thin to paint on. You can mix it up a little thicker if you want. This stuff's pretty thin right now, but it's going to do the job. There we go. That'll work. This product also makes an excellent wound covering. If you get a wounded tree, you nick the bark or something, you can use this stuff to just kind of paint over that. Okay, you've got your tree planted and you're looking forward to something like this. How do we care for it over time? What's a good fertilization schedule? I prefer to fertilize once a month during the growing season at a minimum, with during the winter months not fertilizing at all. The tree's metabolism is not working the soil during the winter as much as it is at peak growing season, which is in the middle of the summer. And I like to begin fertilizing with maybe a half dose when the first signs of spring are coming on, and your plant may be putting on some new leaves and new shoots, and then start your monthly fertilization. I prefer a liquid fertilizer, an organic liquid fertilizer, but you don't have to do that. You can continue to use an all-purpose fertilizer that's a slow release. Again, I would apply it top dressing monthly and let that slowly work, over the course of the month. You can also take the approach of fertilizing once every 2 weeks with a liquid fertilizer that's a low dose fertilizer, maybe a half of what the instructions tell you. Again, back off in the fall and give maybe half a dose through the fall, and then in the winter you don't have to fertilize at all. The trees are in low production mode. So that's how you care for these things. It's really nice to have citrus in your own backyard, and with keeping your trees small by pruning them every now and then, well, you can have all kinds of citrus. Let's talk about that too, pruning. Citrus trees don't really need to be pruned, but you do want to thin out any branches that are kind of crossing over and growing into the middle. You just want to make sure that all the foliage gets light. You can prune for size at any time. I like summer pruning. Summer pruning tends to stunt the tree, and you don't have to have a dwarfing rootstock to keep a tree small. In her book, Grow a Small Fruit Tree by Ann Ralph, she talks about that. You don't have to have a dwarfing rootstock. You just have to keep on top of pruning. This tree is, you know, it's a living thing, and it will grow, but you want to keep the tree about the same size. With citrus trees, you can go a little bigger. You can keep the tree about twice the size, the overall kind of volume of your canopy, twice the size of your container. And you can keep that fruit tree alive if you fertilize it well. Not just alive, but it will thrive. Well, the whole point of growing citrus is to enjoy citrus. Let me show you how to harvest from citrus trees. You never want to just grab the fruit and pull. Somebody did that on the fruit that was here, and it wasn't me. You can see it left behind that little stub, but the proper way is to clip it, is to clip the stem. That avoids damage to your fruit, and this will keep longer on your shelf with that little stem. There we go. Let's see what's inside. This is a sanguinelli blood orange. I'm going to get the other one. This is the last two on my tree for this year. There we go. All right. Let's see what's inside. Oh, nice. Look at that. That's what we're after. Nice red blood orange. You can't buy this at the store. And that's what the inside of a blood orange looks like. That's why we grow citrus. Well, there you go. That's how you grow citrus in a pot. We've got our trees blossoming. We've got buds coming out on the mandarin. This is the blood orange. It had fruit on it until we just took it off, but it's already blossoming. If you've never smelled a citrus blossom, there's nothing like it in the world. It's such a good fragrance. Oh, I love it. My wife will cut blossoms off of our lemon tree and take them in just to fill the house with that scent. Well, hey, if you like to support this channel, if you like what we do, head over to IV Organics and buy some stuff. Use the code GUMBO10 and you'll get 10% off your order, and I'll get a little bit of a commission, and that's a way you can help support us and Charles over there at IV Organics, because they're doing great work, great products, absolute delightful man. So subscribe, hit the bell notification so you won't miss anything, and we'll talk to you next time. Happy gardening to you. Bye-bye.